Welcome to Around the Product Development in 25 Minutes. I'm Anna, co-CEO at Boldare, where we help companies build and scale digital products. That's why we will talk today about a very practical question for many founders and CEOs regarding digital products. And the question is, when does it really make sense to bring in external product leadership? And how do you make sure it accelerates growth instead of just adding costs or complexity? And my guest today is Melissa Stringer, a fractional chief product officer with over 18 years of experience in fintech and financial infrastructure, MBA from Cambridge, which adds a strong strategic lens to her product work. And the beautiful story is I had the chance to work with today's guest when she was the CPO on the client side. So I've seen her work and way of working up very close. Melissa, welcome. It's really great to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's really exciting to chat to you. I'm definitely a fan of this webinar series, and also loved working with you, Anna. So yeah, I'm very happy to be joining you.
So we should start from like a core question. Um, and it would be, of course, everything is from your perspective, so it can be subjective. How do you know it's the time to call in a fractional CPO? It's before or after things start getting messy?
Um, well, I think in a lot of organizations, kind of mess is par for the course. I think it happens in all stages of companies. But I think it's most evident when the roadmap is more of like a wish list and it's not really a strategy, but you maybe have some other pressures. So it's sort of ahead of a round, like you're trying to raise money, or maybe you're aware that your competitors are doing certain things and you need to take some strategic action. It's sort of when you need some change, some kind of catalyst for positive change in the organization, I think is when you would seek to hire somebody sort of senior fractional in product. And it can also be, when you've done a merger or an acquisition and every team has got their own plan, but they're not necessarily playing well together and they're not necessarily speaking from the same hymn sheet. So there's some kind of discord in the organization. So it's when you can kind of smell smoke, I would say, not when it's on fire. But I mean, I definitely do get brought into situations that are 100% on fire, but it's obviously nice to catch that before it happens.
So the fire can be before hiring somebody from outside, but there is a risk of doing things in the wrong way then. So based on what you've seen, and I know that you've seen many places and options, what's the fastest way a CEO can waste money on external product leadership?
Hmm. I think it's not trusting them to be part of the senior team. So they don't give them access. You can't speak to customers. You can't have access to data. You've got no decision-making rights. You're sort of like locked into the existing informal and formal paths within the organization, which is probably that there is some kind of founder or C-level bottleneck and no decisions can be made outside of that. And maybe the strategy has not been disseminated to the team, so people feel like they are unable to take positive action to do anything. So in that scenario, if you already have that culture and you're not willing to change it, then bringing in external product leadership is probably just going to heighten your anxiety as that C-level person or founder, if you're not willing to kind of change and adapt and be open and accept help.
Yeah, so you hire someone and you have no idea how to distribute the authority.
Yes.
Oh, good. And from the perspective of a company or a CEO, hiring a fractional CPO comes with a meaningful cost for most organizations, especially for like companies in a growth phase or in transition. What specific indicators or let's call it performance signals should convince a CEO that the investment is worth it? Like tangible outcomes, maybe they can expect to see.
I think a main one is if they can if you make any kind of positive change, whether it's operational efficiency, if it's faster, better output, if they can sustain that after you've gone, then it's been very successful. Other things are, I think, if the team can now articulate why they're building something, I think that's very positive. And if you're actually shipping things iteratively towards validated outcomes and not just because it's sort of like a graveyard of wishes in the backlog. So if it's directional with strategic intent, so I think that that's a win.
Okay. So let's talk about your way. You enter a new environment, and when you join a team as a fractional CPO, what is your first 48 hours survival kit at the beginning?
So the thing that I do the first is speak to people on the coalface. So it's people who are doing selling, probably customer service teams. I mean, a lot of the organizations that I've worked for have been in financial services, which necessarily is sort of highly regulated, often quite complex. Um, there's a high degree of risk of misunderstanding, things going wrong. And also because often these companies scale quite quickly, there's often disconnect between the teams internally. So I think first doing that research piece to figure out what the pains are, try to understand what the ambition is for the organization, where the disconnect is between, what is said around the exec table and what's understood or experienced by people on the coalface. That's what I try to understand first.
And is openness the first thing you face, or you would say
No,
the average?
it's usually fine. I mean, I'm quite skilled at building trust quickly, and I can empathize deeply with all of the different domains within a typical organization because I've had quite a varied career, so I can kind of speak the language and the nomenclature of the different departments in an organization. So I can speak to the compliance team and I'll know what their concerns are, and speak to customer service and speak to sales, and that they're frustrated that they don't have the products that their customers want, or that we're not, being agile enough and so forth. So I think it's just about speaking their language and then listening for actionable threads and sort of things where you could broker alignment and get people motivated around a culture of positive change.
Good. And on the other hand, like there is other end of this engagement you have, there is always some kind of ending. What do you want the team to definitely know or be able to do by the time you leave?
Um, I think having some kind of decision framework and to be able to prioritize without me. And then I guess that's the first thing. And then being able to say no without it being political. So improving the relationship between the different departments, the different functions within an organization and C-level, and kind of trying to smooth and eliminate politics and make it permissible to say no. And also, I think helping them to understand who they'd need to hire next and why. I think that's what the team should know when I leave.
But do you usually end up training your own replacement?
I have, yeah, several times before. Often how it goes is that I've worked with somebody previously or, either in-house or consulting, and I'll be able to find that person to take over that wants to be in-house, that wants to do the work on a permanent basis. So that's how I try to ensure success when I leave a project, or I help them to secure, quality candidates and help with the interview process and all of that.
Is it a part of the work you actually enjoy or opposite?
I really enjoy helping other people, other product people with upwards career mobility, and I feel I'm quite strong at spotting hidden talents or people that may be underappreciated that need a bit of coaching, and then they can kind of blossom into having these really amazing careers. So I definitely enjoy that, but I wouldn't want to have a career in HR.
Okay, good. And have you ever had a handover that went like funny or a bit chaotic?
Um, yeah. So I
I
was,
hope so, yeah.
yeah, so I was working for a consultancy firm, and we had a client in South America, and it was sort of a very uh, quite a large, high stakes financial institution that had just taken massive amount of investment, and we were working on some financial services products for them on a very aggressive timeline. And it was my job to be the kind of consulting lead, so to speak, so multidiscipline consulting lead into this financial services organization. And they had kind of mapped out for me the people that I should meet internally, and it was maybe twenty individuals. But then on the very last day of delivering everything that we'd done and the final presentation and packs and handover documents and all of that, I got like a DM to my mobile saying, "Oh, you really need to meet this person." And I think it's just internal politics and conflict that had happened, but they didn't introduce us to this person who's actually quite critical to the commercial investor side of the product and the organization. And I think it was just that they were quite an intimidating and disagreeable character themselves, and so the other people that were kind of interfacing with us on this project didn't want that person involved. So that was a bit of a nightmare, and I had to try and kind of delicately moonwalk back a few paces, reframe, and then try to get this person's buy-in, because I didn't want us to just sort of, leave this deliverable and then the people that we'd worked with have to kind of face this political war internally. So yeah, there's always this kind of trepidation in high stakes consulting to make sure that you've got everybody on board and everyone's aligned and people kind of bought into the strategy and the future thinking before you leave.
Yeah, so it was about the corporates, but I'm sure that everywhere there are some problems. So I want to ask about, let's say, smaller companies or startups. Working closely with the founders, I'm sure it's both challenging and entertaining, sure. But from your perspective, what's the founder behavior that makes your job harder? Like, you know, maybe some kind of a bit amusing, but still, what can break things you want to do?
um yeah, I mean, founders by nature are a little bit crazy, and they're dreamers, and that's why I love working directly with founders. It's extremely rewarding, and they're usually kind of quirky personalities, high risk, high reward type people, which is really great. But I think if you are working on a kind of technology project, sometimes there can be some tension between stealth mode obsessive founders who won't let you talk to customers, or a bit too afraid about opening up and kind of stress testing their ideas. So they sort of want to build in the dark, but then they expect to kind of, build it and they'll come kind of scenario where there's an explosion of interest just because you've sort of built this thing in the dark. So there's always that kind of tension that you need to kind of test concepts and validate and prove as you go. There's also, oh God, I've worked with founders who have just carried on adding more and more and more stuff to the backlog, or just wanting like one more feature, or another common refrain is that they have a limited number of clients, so each client is disproportionately powerful to the trajectory of the business, or what they should be focusing on. So they lose sight of the kind of North Star, and they just think, oh, this client needs us to be able to do this by next Tuesday, and so everybody has to drop what they're doing and just make that happen. So it's about finding a balance between being reactive to what the founders want and helping them with emotional containment and focus on where the company's going.
We say sometimes, and we had this conversation before, that nobody is ready for the product launch. There is not, I don't know a person really ready for that. So it's always difficult. But from my perspective, people doing your job is sometimes only way to do it really lean and to really build some kind of, let's say, iteration, not the full vision, because it's really difficult to have this vision in your head and at the same time to build something really small. So I think it's one of the most critical elements. If you are not ready as a founder to think about your vision a little bit smaller, you should hire fractional CPO. Otherwise, it's really
Yes.
difficult. So yeah, I would say the same thing from the perspective of people building this product. Okay, like the last topic I want to touch, of course, it would be AI, but I want to ask about AI supported product development. Now it's a standard part of the conversation, and whether we like it or not. And from your experience, what does AI allow you to do differently today as a fractional CPO compared to, I don't know, 5 years ago? It's a speed or, I don't know, decision making, different ways of working.
I think that yeah, it does all of those. It does all of those things. So it's accelerated delivery, definitely. So for example, when we were working together, we'd have a hypothesis about something. We'd be able to brainstorm it together. Also, battle test some of those ideas with AI. There's the ability to automate routine parts of a product or an experience or a platform and create some sort of agentic workflows, if you like, and some agents, which just was not possible 5 years ago. And so yeah, it does all of those things. I also find that adoption of AI tools has helped me to accelerate my work dramatically. So quick, rapid prototyping, mocking up even brand experiences, having something that's exciting and beautiful that you can show to customers immediately without requiring necessarily heavy design resource until you kind of have more information. Front end development resource. You don't need to kind of mock these type of things up, and it's a bit more high fidelity than we used to stitch wireframes together in Figma, and that used to be like the client walkthrough. And now you can basically mock up something that's really high fidelity and beautiful and bring people along for the journey. And I think it helps to garner more trust in the direction and you get more quality feedback and so on. And I think for the engineers themselves, they are so much faster and more confident in their work. I mean, you guys have got some incredibly skilled and impressive AI developers, and I think they'd be fine with me saying that they sort of work alongside AI tools. So it's not necessarily only them coding stuff. They're able to kind of battle test their code as they build, they move so much more quickly. And it's just incredible the process that the progress that can be made in short order. So I mean, I would say we probably made like 6 months worth of progress in less than a month, which is amazing. So it's like, sixfold speed on what was possible 5 years ago.
Yeah, I can't even imagine going back then. So yeah, when I look at the team's work right now, I really believe that there is more cooperation between product owners and founders and our customers and the team, because everything can be really visible very quickly. So we can just communicate somehow faster as well. Okay, Mel, let's make the practical like this practical for people listening who might be on the fence. If a company suspects they might need external product help, what's the one question they should ask themselves first?
Sorry, I just heard my door. Can you, so sorry, can you just say that again? Sorry, I was listening out for the postman as well.
If a company suspects that they might need external CPO or any product help, what's the one question they should ask themselves?
If they suspect that they might need some external help, I guess it's is this actually a product problem or is it a decision making problem? Sorry about that. Um, sorry. Um, yeah, so I think is it a decision making problem or a product problem? I think that's basically what I would ask them to try and validate. And I think it's where do they want to spend their energy over the next 6 months? Is it that they want to have clarity and purposeful direction, or do they want to spend 6 months trying to figure out what that is and sort of broker alignment and agreement between all of their internal teams and try and get that trust? And I mean, ultimately, sometimes just having an external senior perspective that can listen to everyone and then bring a different point of view, I think can help to unlock organizations where they are kind of trapped in this paradigm where the founders keep everything in their minds, and they don't disseminate enough strategy or enough decision making throughout the organization.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 27 past. Mel, thank you for this grounded conversation, and I hope our listeners can use this as a reference point. They are asking themselves, is this something we actually need right now? And for everyone listening, if your product complexity is growing faster than your internal structure, or if you are under pressure from the competition, I hope this discussion gives you better lens for deciding whether fractional product leadership or somebody from outside is the right option. This was around the product development in 25 minutes. Thanks for joining. I look forward to the next episode, and thank you, Melissa, again.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.